Hello and a very good afternoon to everybody. This is Advocate Rajdeep Lahiri speaking on behalf of the corporate legal group. Today we will be having with us the privilege and an honor of having with us Advocate Vidya Iyengar, who will be speaking on a rather critical topic about gender equality and the POSH Act. So we will be having her in a short while. In the meanwhile, I would request everybody to please keep their mobile phones on mute, preferably even keep the video on mute, for the sole purpose of having a very seamless video session in which we will be having Mrs. Iyengar speak on this topic and also share some slides with all of us distinguished participants for today's webinar. Participants who are willing to ask questions, you will be duly given the chance to ask so. And as a personal request by the speaker for today's webinar, it has been requested to tell or inform all of you all to kindly provide all your questions, direct all your questions to me personally in the chat box. And those questions, those queries will indeed be asked to the speaker. If I am audible, if my video is audible, if my video is seen and myself audible, please give a thumbs up alongside your video for me to understand. I would request all of the participants, all of us distinguished participants, to please give a thumbs up beside their video for me to please understand whether we are having a seamless communication. Okay, perfect. Thank you so much. Perfect.
Hi, Rajdeep.
Hello, ma'am. Hello, ma'am. You are audible. Absolutely.
Audible? Yeah. Hi.
Yes.
Hi, everyone. So today the topic is about gender equality and POSH.
Yes, ma'am. It is a pleasure and an honor to have you. I'll just quickly give a very small, even though it's going to be very tough considering the amount of experience, exposure that you bring in on this topic. So thank you all the participants, distinguished participants, to watch us on this webinar. It is a pleasure to have Advocate Vidya Iyengar with us today. So Mrs. Iyengar brings with herself, she is a legal counsel with the High Courts, and she practices mainly on the criminal domain too, which is her foray. And apart from her advocacy, which she's been carrying on for a significant amount of time, she is also a social activist and really works on women empowerment. So thank you, ma'am,
for on the introduction. Thanks a lot, everyone, for joining today. Let me start with the topic so that I don't take too much of time on starting the topic. Just a second. So today we're going to discuss on gender equality and about the POSH Act. So I want to share the slides with you for having some. Rajdeep, if you can allow me to share the slides, it requires your. Hello.
It is already there.
Yeah. So I want to share the slides here. Okay. Hello, everyone. So let's understand what is, why do we require the understanding of sexual harassment and gender equality? as quoted by Supreme Court, this sexual harassment is a complete violation of human rights and uh, the rights given by the Constitution under Article 14, 15, and 21, which talks about the equality, dignity, and liberty. This sexual harassment is creating an hindrance for the woman force from working in a communal atmosphere. Workplace sexual harassment not only creates insecurity and hostile working environment, it also hinders their participation in the economic growth. I hope all of you understand how difficult it is when a person goes through sexual harassment and goes through complaining about it, and then the complete career goes to a setback. Let me take you to the mandate. It's a mandate for every organization having more than 10 employees to have an internal complaint committee, and the organization which has less than 10 numbers have to the person who is a victim of a who's a victim has to complain to the local committee. Every local committee has been set up in the district, and there is a DO, district officer, who is assigned to take care of the criminal complaints under sexual harassment. Now let me take you through the genesis. uh, I'm sure everybody is aware of the little bit just about the case. I believe in 1992, a social worker named Bhavri Devi in the state of Rajasthan was a part of restraining the child marriage, was brutally gang raped after she tried to restrain a marriage of a 1-year-old. So when I was reading through the case in the earlier time, it was difficult for me to understand that till date we have such type of incidents in the 90s also happening, where a 1-year-old child was getting married, and when she tried to restrain the community people tried to harass her. When she went to the local authority to complain, she was gang raped, and her condition was even worse. And then this situation was taken up by Vishakha and other women groups who tried to file a PIL in the Supreme Court. And in 1997, the Vishakha judgment came, and guidelines were framed for making sure that women work in a safe environment. So this particular case is clear to understand that how and harm can escalate if nothing is done to check on the sexually offensive behavior in the workplace. Like the what she went through, what Bhavri Devi went through, was a check for all of us. And thereafter this Vishaka guidelines came. So in this Vishaka guidelines, for the first time, Supreme Court had clearly stated that this is a clear-cut violation of fundamental rights of women. This is a complete violation of human rights. And in accordance with UN Convention for Elimination of All Forms of Discrimination, certain guidelines were framed basically into the definition of sexual harassment, shifting accountability from an individual to institutions, so that we have various parameters or various authorities who can look after the sexual harassment, rather directly taking it to the court and all, and prioritizing prevention, because prevention is the most important thing rather than looking into the offenses and punishment. Provision for an innovative redress mechanism, because it is important to have a redress mechanism at every level, so that the burden of litigation can be reduced, and this can be addressed immediate basis rather than prolonging litigations. So I would quote just a second. So Justice J.S. Verma, late Justice J.S. Verma, from the particular case citation, I would quote this, which is a very important, sentence and a meaning it has. The meaning and the content of the fundamental rights guaranteed in the Constitution of India are of sufficient amplitudes to encompass all facets of gender equality. So we already have fundamental rights in the Constitution. The only part which is becoming difficult is the implementation part of it. So this particular Vishaka guidelines brought in various implementation part in the various organization to prevent the sexual harassment. Now let us understand what is gender inequality and stereotypes in existence with globally. So there are certain gender stereotypes which is there, based on the culture, social pressures, social norms, social identities. Like one I would say is we don't raise the girls with economic independence. I mean, every household, they have a boy and a girl. They would not orient the girl that she has to look for her career, wherein we raise the boys that there is a pressure on boys, I would say rather, that they have to make sure of the livelihood. Now, right now also in this scenario, also in 20th century also, we see that when it comes to career orientation and when it comes to being a homemaker, we give we put that the female gender has to make sure that there is a more emphasis on them on homemaking, and the male gender takes care of the livelihood. So when we see this, what happens is the economic participation of women reduces marginally when they reach a stage when they have children and all, and they are dissuaded from becoming career oriented either in the home front or from the workplace, because in the organization they feel that there is, they may not be, they may go for a maternity leave, there will be loss to the company. All these things are taken into account. Therefore, we had Maternity Benefit Act amendment in 2012, which if you are aware of, wherein the leaves were extended, wherein it was made sure that they're not terminated. It was made sure that the benefits were given in a better way. Unfortunately, we don't have paternity leave right till now. Right, so when we see about gender biasment, this biasment still exists. When we want both the gender to participate in the every manner, it is important that we should treat them equally. So when you see there is no paternity leave, and we see women dissuaded from economic participation in industries like hospitality, you can see there are not so many industries. You will see that women are either not encouraged,